residents and tenants who are on the call with us today. Also joining us is the Downtown Partnership, who helped organize this information session, Councilmember O'Connell, the leadership from 8 Metro departments, as well as representatives from Congressman Cooper's office, and the many other members of the community who care very much about the future of 2nd Avenue and downtown in our city. Thank you for being here today. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mayor Cooper to kick us off.
Well, thank you. And everyone, thank you for joining today's call, and thank you, Lucy, for moderating this discussion. We are approaching 1 month since the bombing on historic 2nd Avenue, the heart of our downtown community. And let's be clear, the bombing was an attack on our entire city, and it was intended to infect us with panic. And that's true whether you live downtown or in Donaldson. But instead, Nashville saw heroes emerge. We saw neighbors helping neighbors, as usual. And we're responding with a determination to rebuild like we did in 1998 and in 2010 and after last year's tornado. And I'm proud of how Nashville has met another moment of crisis with resilience. And I'm grateful to everyone on this call today for your roles in rebuilding historic 2nd Avenue. Now, today we'll hear from several Metro departments on our progress towards rebuilding, and we'll hear from property owners and residents. Our purpose today is to share information about what's happening on 2nd Avenue and what will be required to successfully rebuild. Now, this will be the first of what I'm sure will be many sessions to maintain an inclusive process with transparent communication. We're all working towards the same goal, to turn the tragedy of the bombing into an opportunity. Now, the opportunity to rebuild 2nd Avenue in a way that honors its history and better connects it to the rest of Nashville. We're leveraging the best minds and the talent available in disaster recovery and historic preservation to help us. Now, I'm pleased today to announce Ron Gobble will be our 2nd Avenue project manager. Ron is the president of GHP Architecture, a member of Metro Planning Commission, Historical Commission, and most importantly, really, he's a long-term downtown resident himself. I'm very grateful for his service and his leadership. There will be staff working closely with Ron and Lucy Kempf at Metro Planning, and we will listen to all Nashvillians who want to have a voice in this process. We'll be forming a citizens advisory group to gather feedback from everyone who cares about our downtown. If you're interested in joining this group or know someone who might, please contact Tom Turner at the Downtown Partnership. Ron, Lucy, the Civic Design Center, the Urban Land Institute will convene public meetings to get as much community feedback as possible. This will help us rebuild 2nd Avenue in a way that honors its history and better connects it to the rest of the city. Now, the first meeting of this group will be held next Friday at 10 a.m. We will provide more departmental updates and then talk specifically about the next steps for the community feedback session. And again, thank you very much for being on this call today. And now I'd like to invite Councilman Freddie O'Connell to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper, and thank you, Ron, for agreeing to take such a critical role here. I have just a few things to say, and then we'll keep going with Lucy's facilitation. And thank you, Director Kempf, for being willing to facilitate here. As the mayor mentioned in one of the very earliest briefings, the lone act of a single madman had incredible impact on 400 residents and 45 businesses, impacting 1,200 employees across 46 parcels in the 2nd Avenue area. This is a big deal, and I want to say an enormous amount of thanks to the Metro departments as well as the private nonprofits, other stakeholders in downtown who have from day one, from moment one, from the moment first responders from the Metro Nashville Police Department, followed quickly by OEM and Nashville Fire, they have taken this extraordinarily seriously. They've taken it seriously in the present. They have looked to the future, and that is part of what we're doing today. And I think there is an ongoing amount of seriousness and priority to the effort to get people back into their homes, to get businesses back open. And all of this is being done with a top priority for safety and the security of people's property and belongings. And so there is a certain amount of patience required as we go through this, but there is also a tremendous amount of partnership that I know is going to lead to success in the moment as we recover and restore, and then as we look to the future with all of the stakeholders here at this table. From the standpoint of Metro Council, I want to let everyone knows we are exploring every opportunity we have legislatively to make sure that Metro is actively participating in the relief and recovery efforts, and that includes things that we have seen before, as in the wake of the tornado, relief on a permit basis, expedited approaches at the departmental level. And I know one of the top questions I've gotten is property tax relief. That is a complicated question. We are looking at what our capabilities are. And then I also want to make sure that, yes, we've got Ron Gobble as a project manager, but I know people have stayed in steady contact with me. That should not change. If you do have questions about anything that is happening on the council level, or just making sure that this process continues, if there are concerns, questions, opportunities for improvements, please continue to share that feedback with me. I will try my very best to remain as accessible as I can be as we continue this. It is not going to be something that concludes by next week. We know that many parts of this conversation are going to continue for weeks and months. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director Kempf, and thank you to all our Metro departments who are participating today.
Thank you, Councilman O'Connell. Tom Turner with the partnership has worked with us to help organize the session. Did you have any remarks this morning, Tom, before we move to the panel?
Well, I do actually. I want to appreciate everyone joining us today, and I want to also, from the downtown community, really express appreciation from day one, where we had police and fire and OEM jumping in, followed by Public Works, water, sewer, codes, now planning. But it's just been a great effort, really, from the very beginning. We wouldn't be where we are today without the things that happened on that first day. So much appreciated for that. I also want to say thanks to all the stakeholders that are on the call for their resolute response to this event as well. It's incredible how they've done that. And I think from the partnership perspective, we welcome the opportunity and really look forward to a robust revival of 2nd Avenue.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom. So at this point in the agenda, we're going to turn to a panelist discussion from some of the Metro departments who have been working to secure the site and working with each of you to initiate the rebuilding process. So just a quick procedural note. Our goal with this particular information session was to focus on the questions and concerns of affected property owners, tenants, and residents. And so to that end, we received a number of questions early on, and that helped us enormously in setting the agenda today so that we can be as responsive to the questions of the downtown community as possible. We're going to do our very best to work through those questions during the presentations and after during a Q&A. Participants who are on the WebEx function can submit additional questions through chat. But if we're not able to get through all of the questions today, be assured I will make sure that they are delivered to the appropriate contact at Metro and that you get a response in writing or at some of the follow-up information sessions. And so we've got a lot to cover here, so let's get started. Bill Herbert, Director of Codes, why don't we start with you, and can you share with us a little bit about the work you've been doing with the structural assessments, the permit review process, and access to the site area?
Yes, glad to. Thank you, Director Kempf. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity. Good morning. What I'd like to do is provide a status report of where we've been, where we are, and where we anticipate that we're going over the next several weeks and months. On December 30th at 5 o'clock p.m., the FBI delegated control of the blast site over to Metro. The next day, codes inspectors, along with OEM's urban search and rescue personnel, inspected all of the affected structures in order to assess damage levels. For those properties that were most seriously damaged, the codes department overnighted as well as sent emails to the property owners or their agents and requested that they provide to us a report from a structural engineer regarding the condition of their individual properties. Those letters were FedExed on January the 6th. Legally, we had to provide a reasonable time for the owners to respond to us. We have received a response now from the vast majority of owners. The response deadline was set for this last Monday, January the 18th. As we received a response yesterday from the most affected property, that being between 170 and 176, so 2nd Avenue. So that response was, structural response was sent yesterday morning. The Coast Department has retained its own structural engineer to independently assess these properties and is reviewing the reports from the property owners. Of course, safety is our #1 concern, and that is to protect first persons and then the adjacent properties. To that end, we are expediting permits for the limited purposes of shoring up and stabilizing the most seriously damaged structures. No rehabilitation or demolition permits will be issued without the approval of the Metro Historic Commission and the Planning Department. Along with OEM and police, we've opened up 2nd Avenue to pedestrian traffic up to Commerce. The area between Commerce and Church, the blast area, will need to remain closed. As of yesterday, we've opened up more 1st Avenue to allow 2nd Avenue businesses better access to the rear of their buildings. In conjunction with OEM, we've established a process to provide for controlled access for property owners and their agents, as well as construction personnel into the area between Commerce and Church. The goal is to do the best we can to provide for the safety of non-construction personnel entering the blast area, while at the same time providing uninterrupted access for construction professionals who are working to shore up and stabilize the structures. The process we have established is not perfect, and there have been some issues. We are staying flexible, and we are willing to modify the process as this area transitions from a blast site to a construction zone. Again, all permits for rehabilitation or demolition will have to be approved by the Historic Commission and the Planning Department prior to issuance by the Codes Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Herbert. Just a quick follow-up question for you from one of the property owners in the area. Just to be clear, is it safe to allow construction, insurance, vendors, folks, et cetera, into buildings in the red zone? And I would interpret that to be the 7 to 10 structures that are most damaged for extended periods of time.
So that's a bit of a tough question because some of these structures are so severely damaged. So what we're doing in that regard is for the construction-related personnel, so they're professionals, and we're going to have to allow them into these structures to do the work necessary to shore up and stabilize the structures. So our goal is to get them inside to accomplish that. Now, for non-construction personnel, we are escorting them with OEM's urban search and rescue personnel just to make sure that there's somebody there to make sure that these folks stay safe and that everybody is able to access the property at least safely.
Okay, thank you, Director. Next, we'd welcome Director Scott Potter with Water Services. Scott?
Thank you, Lucy. Good morning, everybody. We did a inspection of the water infrastructure in the blast area and surrounding areas, and we found no damage to the delivery systems. of the water systems. Now, there's going to be damage, obviously, on properties along 2nd Avenue, and any kind of inspection of the service connections will need to be individually done by us and the property owners. And the best way to coordinate that is to go through Hal Walthrop in the Development Services Center, just using the normal process of establishing service to our transmission system. We're looking at that process as a normal redevelopment process. So if you have your folks, just contact Hal and Development Services, and we can do that on the water side. On the sewer side, we did a video inspection of all sewer infrastructure from the river to 4th Avenue and from Union to Broadway. And thankfully, we didn't find any significant damage. We did find a crack directly below the blast site. And the best way to visualize that is a pipe just broke in a circumferential manner. Just kind of visualize a saw going through it and made a crack all the way around the circumference of the pipe. We think we can repair that without excavating the street. We found 2 other damages to the sewer system that we don't think are directly related to the blast, but we're going to repair them as we found them. They're at Bank Street, west of 1st Avenue, and the intersection of Church and 2nd. So those 2, we're not sure of the scope of the repair, but we're going to try to make it minimal as possible. As far as other utilities go and how we're going to coordinate repair, we've established connections and communications with all the infrastructure managers within 2nd Avenue. And anybody who wants to do repair, we're going to make sure that all the other utilities know about it so we can all get in there at once and do any repair that we might need. So we're going to minimize the impact to 2nd Avenue to the degree possible. Essentially, no one is really finding significant damage, but essentially if one person or one utility wants to go in, others may want to go in and do repair. So we're going to coordinate that through water just to make sure that everyone else understands what's happening so we minimize the impact. On DES, the DES folks and their contractors did an inspection of their infrastructure and found extremely minimal damage. 1 rock was dislodged essentially. So the impact on the on DES was minimal. So we feel good about where we are on being able to reestablish service. We just hope that that we're able to be as efficient as we can with everybody, but work through development services to get that done. And that's all I have, Lucy.
Thank you very much. Now we'll turn to Chief Swann, who can provide an update on fire services and OEM work more generally. Chief.
Yeah, I'd like to say good morning to everyone, and I know Scott has definitely touched upon a few points I will make, as well as Bill Herbert. But we're real happy at this point that all the utilities are awaiting the decision for the restricted areas to be deemed safe. And once that occurs, they will work with Metro Codes to restore services to the buildings that can be restored. At this point, and I'm not sure if we have a representative from NES, but NES has the most infrastructure work to be done underground, which will require some heavy equipment to operate in secondary collapse zones. And then, of course, gas, they're ready to be operational as soon as we declare the area safe. One of the things that we was really stressed upon was making sure that, number one, safety is always first and foremost, and then the mayor made his objective very clear that we move as quick and speedy and safe as we can to get things back in working order, and then also keeping in line with the historical factor as well. So it's been a very I guess a lot of moving parts, but everybody's worked very well together. Bill had mentioned something about, of course, we've worked out this system, and it's not perfect, but what we've done is try to make sure that we were accessible and available for anybody that wanted to come and work in those restricted areas. So I'm going to just go over quickly the process of how that works. Monday through Friday from 8 to 3 p.m. Appointments can be made by calling Metro Codes Department at 615-862-6522. If work must be done on Saturday or Sundays, appointments can be made in advance. And then we had a couple of issues where we had people that that just showed up and wanted to get to their respective place to do some work, and that was an area that we knew we could improve a little bit upon. So what we've done is we have our on-call personnel that if you walk up and you want to go into the restricted area, you can still call that 615-862-6522 number, and our Metro police officers who are there to secure that area can actually give you that number if you don't have it. But what I do ask is that you do have patience and understanding that the reason why is crucial that we have somebody that from the fire department OEM will come in and escort you into your area for safety precautions. And then also we want to make sure we keep everything clean. If you're there to work on structure, 170, that's the area that you will have to stay in. Again, I think the process has worked out decent, and we had a couple little issues that we had to take care of. So once we established this plan that we did this week, I hope we don't have that situation anymore. Again, I just appreciate everybody's patience and also just the great work that everybody's had to do. We've been with this from the very beginning, and all the departments working together to make sure, again, we get things back and open as soon, as quick, and safely as we can. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We received a couple of questions expressing some frustration about the check-in process, but I think what I'm hearing from you is that making appointments is really critical to being able to proceed through the site safely and access your site. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's the best way, because the thing that we do not want anybody to do is just to come down and that's your property, your business, but we want to make sure that you have someone with you that have the experience and will be safety monitors. And I think at the beginning of this junction, we had our urban search and rescue teams there to help with every and anything needed, from boarding up to moving stuff. But now it's just a matter of monitoring and ensuring that safety is in place. And as of this week, we did establish that the pre-appointment setups, and that number being 615-862-6522, and they can call that number to, if they want to work or set up an appointment or even pre-set it up for the weekend.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. So the final team represented on this department list is Tim Walker. Tim, have you been able to join now? Director Walker?
Tim is not here, okay, but I'm here. This is Robin Zigler.
Okay. All right, Robin, do you have opening remarks prepared?
Yes, I too want to really thank everyone for their help, all the Metro departments, but also our non-Metro partners like Historic Nashville, Tennessee Historical Commission, Tennessee State Library and Archives, Metro Archives. Everyone has jumped in and really helped with volunteering, their assistance and their knowledge, and we're very appreciative of that. I think by now we have talked with most all of the property owners to some extent, and we've issued several permits. And so we are ready to issue immediate permits for replacement storefronts and replacement windows. My number is 615-862-7970. Please use my extension to get right to me, which is 79776, and I'll help you with that process. And then if we haven't talked to you yet, please reach out to us and we can help you through that. We've got lots of historic photos for those that are needing to rebuild more than just replace. And I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. At this point, I wanted to close out just this piece regarding sort of future planning work in this area. I was so pleased to hear about some of the thoughts for the task force and the public engagement process from the mayor. And I'm looking forward to doing our part at the planning department to ensure that we're having great conversations about how to maintain the character of this area that makes it so unique, but also visioning for long-term moves that we think will be really beneficial in terms of connecting this area to other resources that we may have downtown, such as the riverfront, our unique alley systems, the streetscape that we want to aspire to, the open spaces and the like. And so we did receive a number of questions asking whether or not Metro wants to have that conversation, and the answer is yes, and we'll do it in partnership with you and the many who are really passionate about this area. So thank you for those questions, and we look forward to working on that. So at this point, we want to shift gears a little bit and welcome our federal partners. We have Ella Matthews joining us from the Congressman's Office, Congressman Cooper, and we're so pleased that you can be here with us today. We understand that any recovery effort is complex and it can include many layers of government. And we received a number of questions regarding federal programs through FEMA, for example, and folks really wanting to understand how those programs work. And we're pleased that you're here to help us better understand sort of where Nashville might be within that process, and again, just generally how that particular program works, and anything else that you're able to share with us today. Ella?
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. I'm glad to be here. As she mentioned, Ella Matthews with Jim Cooper's office, and here just to talk a little bit about the federal assistance sides of things. So right after the blast between our office and Metro and the governor's office, Tennessee requested an emergency declaration from the federal government to get FEMA assistance. About 10 days later, that was approved as an emergency declaration. Specifically under that, we were approved for Category B, which is emergency protective measures for immediate federal assistance to stop additional loss of life, structural damage. The administration did not approve the second part. That was Part A for debris removal, which would help, I guess, reimburse Metro for all of those processes. So it was not denied. It is still pending, and we are in touch with the new administration on how they might be handling that, whether that's additional information coming in from Metro on cost assessments and TEMA dotting the I's, crossing the T's on that information that they're sharing with costs and estimates. So hoping that that will be approved, following that closely. The third part of, I guess, FEMA assistance that everyone thinks about as a major disaster declaration, like what we saw with the tornado. That's kind of the full level of funding that comes in, where you have, I guess, individual assistance, public assistance, where we can help reimburse Metro for more of their costs, SBA, EIDL, the full categories C through G, and you can get those approved depending on what we apply for. Part of achieving a major, or getting to a major disaster declaration, you have to reach certain cost thresholds. For Nashville, I think that's about $2.4 million, and it's just our county, and then the state has to exceed $9.8 million. So it is, and there are some other criteria for that, but that's kind of the baseline of where we are. The good news is that we have not exceeded $9.8 million in damages. As we've heard, we were hearing some better news about the pipes and everything that's going on. Nashville's exceeded their share, but we do have to pass that $9.8 million. So good news, we have not had that much damage. The bad news is that really limits us on the amount of federal assistance that can come through FEMA. I guess we're looking through that, and I do want to remind you all that even if it was approved, those are very limited resources that can come. As we learned with the flood, FEMA doesn't necessarily make everyone whole and does not cover anyone with insurance, and even the underinsured. It's really just there to help those without anything and above the cap that the state or the city might be able to control. So we're looking at that, looking at any other possible federal assistance we can find and staying in touch on those. And I guess also, I'm glad to see you all looking forward onto next steps, but I'm rebuilding, but I'm look forward to any questions you have.
Well, Ella, thank you very much for joining us today. And my understanding that the Congressman's Office is prepared to continue to work with us as we go through the planning process and assess various funding opportunities, that y'all will be at the table with us to help us work through those issues.
Yes, definitely. On FEMA and any other sort of federal assistance we can find, our office is here. If you all think of anything, let us know, and we're happy to be a part of these ongoing conversations.
Okay. Thank you. We do have a few sort of specific questions regarding FEMA, but I think what I'll do is forward those to you, and if we can get sort of responses, then we can share those with the group. So thank you very much. And all right, so at this point, that concludes sort of the presentations from Metro and federal partners. I'd like to move into sort of a general question and answer session based on some of the inquiries that we've received from property owners. And so, but many of you have sort of covered these in the overview, but let me just start back with Director Herbert here. We have a question about whether or not you would consider waiving fees for any of the permit work. Have you considered that?
Yes, Director. Yes, Director Kempf, we have. In fact, we've already drafted legislation that we've submitted to the mayor's office to waive building permit fees. So that is coming shortly, and hopefully Metro Council will approve that.
Can you I think there's a general question about sort of trying to understand if we think there will be any code, zoning, or traffic pattern changes in this area, either through the sort of development process or after. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, regarding the traffic patterns, that we're going to continue to look at really on a day-by-day basis, just depending upon how the site transitions from a blast area to a construction zone, really. So we'll look at that, and we'll stay very flexible. We want to provide as much access to the site as we possibly can for construction personnel and for the property owners, but with the idea that the overall goal is to keep the area safe. Regarding zoning changes, I'm not aware of anything there that would be changed. Regarding codes, we're going to be, as I had previously stated, we're going to be expediting permits to the fullest extent. And so, anybody that is seeking to repair their building, you would contact the codes department first. We would create the building permit application. We've got one point of contact here at the department, Joey Hargis. He'll be creating each of those applications for this area that will be under his exclusive control. And from there, we will track the relevant departments, again, always tracking planning department and the historic commission for review, and we'll be expediting the permits to the fullest extent possible.
Since we're talking about codes, I thought it would be helpful. I see that we've been joined by Director Tim Walker. Hope you're doing well, Tim. Good morning. Robin did share with us a brief update, but if there's anything that you would want to add, and then maybe just sort of talk a little bit about the historic overlay that is in place in this area and what it seeks to accomplish.
Thanks, Lucy. Happy to help with that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Happy to help again. Second Avenue is in a local historic preservation overlay district, and as such, the Metro Historic Zoning Commission that lives in our office reviews work and issues preservation permits for that exterior work they review. We've been, I think Robin, who was on earlier, said we've been expediting our permits. And as far as shoring of buildings, we're defaulting to the codes department, so those things can happen immediately and don't need our review. I'm not sure what all Robin said, but I want to make sure people know we're a resource We have a resource page on our website that provides a lot of information to property owners, business owners, and tenants who are in the Second Avenue Historic Overlay District. And so I hope they'll use that. Provides information on building resources, contractors and building firms who have offered to donate their time, economic resources. We even have historic images and drawings that might be useful to some business owners and property owners. So hope that covers what hasn't been covered.
Sure, and we're going to have a lot of time to work together, Tim, to talk about Second Avenue and sort of what has made it so special in terms of the history in this city, but also sort of moving forward, this potential that we aspire to. So I look forward to working with you on that. So shifting gears a bit, we received some questions sort of about the functioning of sort of the vehicular traffic and access, as well as access to the sidewalks. And I think that this question might go to Chief Drake. If you're on the line, Chief, good morning. Chief, the specific question is, when will there be a reopening of vehicular traffic on 2nd from Broadway to Commerce? And if we don't have a specific date with the crystal ball, can you tell us a little bit about what sort of safety standards you would be deploying to make that type of decision?
All right. Yes, we're getting very close to opening up for vehicular traffic from Commerce to Broadway. In fact, we've opened pedestrian traffic on the sidewalks in that area. The codes has been in, structural engineers have been in to ensure that buildings are safe. Owners have been inside as well doing construction. And once that OEM and codes both sign up to say that it's safe for access, it would be fine to have more people drive through and have pedestrian traffic as well. As far as a timeline, it all depends on how swiftly that goes, but we're trying to do it as expeditiously as possible.
Okay, and I know that we have the Director of Public Works on the line, Shanna Whitelaw, and, you know, at the point that we've sort of moved past the sort of security thresholds, Shanna, is there anything you would want to add from a Public Works perspective and a mobility perspective about work that needs to be done in your mind, even if it's 2 or 3 steps away?
Thank you, Director Kempf. From a public works standpoint, as long as Chief Drake and OEM and the police indicate that the roads are accessible, we from a public works standpoint say that the roads between Broadway and Commerce 2nd Avenue is open for traffic. We did not sustain damage in that area. And then from the area that's in Commerce to Union, that area will really depend on working with codes and the access that contractors will need, their building will need. So we will work with them to determine on whether the roads should be open just for contractors and or public walking. Very much like any construction site, we will follow permit processes as well for construction activity that needs to have maybe a dumpster or something in the road, or they need to have space in the road. We will follow the same procedures that we have before, working in partnership with codes.
Okay, very good. And I think one of the things that I've read in many of the comments from the downtown residents and neighbors is the importance of sort of a great streetscape, and that we want this area to be attractive to visitors and residents and others. And that's very much about ultimately the design of the pedestrian amenities, the trees, and the like, both on 2nd, but also I think on 1st as well. And so that will be part of the conversation, working with you moving forward. Okay, Bill, I think I have just one other sort of question for you on the permitting process, because I'm getting a couple of additional questions, and I guess this bears reinforcing again that basically the process that you're going through today, if you can just walk through the 3 or 4 steps, is 1, assessing the structural stability of the buildings, 2, then incorporating use and occupancy. I mean, can you just go through again the steps that the property owners are going to need to go through to move forward from a codes perspective?
Yes, thank you, Lucy. So the first step has been to obtain structural reports from the property owners, from their own engineers, to determine whether or not their individual properties have structural issues. We have received the vast majority of those reports. So thank you to all the property owners for assisting us in this regard. The Codes Department has retained our own structural engineer who's going through these reports, and we're just going to make sure that our engineer agrees with your engineer, and if so, then we're going to move very, very quickly towards issuing permits to do the work that's necessary, that we've been agreed upon, to do the work necessary to shore up the properties and stabilize the properties. So it will require a permit to be issued by the Codes Department, and this is a very specific permit simply to shore up and stabilize the individual structure. We are, as Tim Walker stated, we're not, on these very specific permits to shore up and stabilize, we're not going to track the Historic Commission or planning on those. These are very specific, only for the purpose of shoring up. When the later permits come to rehabilitate the structures, then of course, historic and planning will be copied on those. So these permits will then be expedited. When the permits are issued, then the owners may contract for the work to be done to shore up and stabilize their property. We are going to do everything we can to expedite the ability of these professionals to get inside the buildings, to get inside the blast area, and to do the work that's necessary to make the structures safe. So we're modifying our processes now with respect to being able to enter the blast zone. And what we anticipate doing is, if you can show that you have a permit to do work, then we're going to basically wave you right through the checkpoint, you and your construction personnel, to go in and do the work necessary to make these buildings safe.
Thank you, Bill. And we're going to post all of the contact information online for the key contacts, but did you just want to again repeat, Joey Hargis is the key contact from Codes, correct?
Yes, that's correct. You can email Joey Hargis at joey.hargis@nashville.gov. And I also would like to go back and touch on what Chief Swann had stated. In order to get an appointment to go in and take a look at these properties, please contact Teresa Hayes at 615-862-6522. She will set the appointment. You will be met by someone at the checkpoint to allow you in, and then be escorted in by a USAR representative just to make sure that you're safe. But again, if you've got a valid building permit to stabilize the structures, then we're creating a process where we can simply wave you through the checkpoint so that you can get in and do the work without us interrupting your process there. So there's the goal.
Thank you. Well, at this point, I did just want to circle back to sort of the opening remarks that the mayor shared with us about the structure moving forward. I just want to say on a personal note, I've had an opportunity to work with Ron Gobble in a number of different capacities on the Planning Commission, but as well as his work throughout the city. And he's a person who knows historic preservation issues really well and knows this area like the back of his hand. And I think that's just going to be an enormous asset an undertaking like what we're talking about today, with so many different departments at the table, wanting to work through a recovery process means that coordination and communication is crucial. And that's something that Mr. Gobble has shown that he can do and do really well, because he knows all of the nitty-gritty under the ground, but also sort of can work to help us accomplish our goals above ground as well. And so, Ron, you're on as a panelist, and I just wondered if you wanted to say a couple of words about any goals that you might have, and know that you'll be on the hook for more presentations next Friday, certainly.
Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate it. I want to express my appreciation to Mayor Cooper for calling on me, and I am excited about the opportunities to make Second Avenue even stronger than it was. One short story, I moved to Second Avenue for 90 days after a marital reorganization or a divorce, and I thought I would only be there for 90 days, and I still live within one block of that area 18 years later. So it's very important to me. I've worked there for decades. I've worked as an architect. I've worked on projects. I have a lot of friends that were displaced, and I think my goal in this is to really take all the excellent work that's been done by the various metro departments and agencies like the district, Downtown Partnership, the Historic Foundation, others, Historic Commission. All of those have really been doing an excellent job. And my job, as I see it, would be to just kind of pull it all together and help with the communication and help dispersing information, both on the short term, where those who are trying to get back into their homes, to the long term of a vision of how to make Second Avenue an even better than it was before. So thanks again to Mayor Cooper and Director Kempf that invited me to be involved.
Excellent. Well, with that, I'll bring the session to a close. Let me just note from a housekeeping perspective, we will post the Q&A here from this work on our web. Just give us several hours to do that. We will include the key contact information that the departments mentioned, so that you know who is working specific issues from Metro, and have somebody that you can reach out to. And again, to the questions that we did not have time to get to today, we will make sure that those get to the proper place at Metro, so you can get a response. We are again so grateful for your time today, and I thank you, Mayor Cooper, for bringing us all together to work towards a good recovery process.
Well, thank you, Lucy, and on to work.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.